My golden child brother betrayed me with my fiancé the night of our engagement. I, 23M, was on cloud 9 2 weeks ago. I had just proposed to Sarah, 24F, my girlfriend of almost 3 years, and she had said yes. The engagement night was perfect, a beautiful proposal at my uncle's house, surrounded by family and friends. But within 24 hours, everything fell apart. Sarah betrayed me in the worst way imaginable. She got intimate with my older brother, John, 28M, the night after our engagement. John and I have never had a good relationship. After our father died in a tragic accident when I was just a baby, our mother worked tirelessly to support us. While she did her best to raise us equally, John was always the golden child. He excelled in sports, did well academically, and had the kind of magnetic personality that drew people in. In contrast, I was shy, insecure, and struggled to find my footing. Growing up, John constantly bullied me, and I lived in his shadow. I felt invisible, unworthy, and humiliated by his endless comparisons. My mother didn't have the energy to mediate our rivalry, and my uncle, my late father's brother, was the only source of support I had. He stepped in as a father figure, encouraging me and eventually paying for my out-of-state college education. It was in college that I finally began to come into my own. Away from John's influence, I found confidence, made friends, and graduated at the top of my class. Meanwhile, John's life began to unravel. A failed business venture left him in massive debt, forcing my mother and uncle to bail him out. Despite their help, he struggled to recover, bouncing between jobs and falling into a deep depression. 2 weeks ago, I proposed to Sarah at my uncle's birthday dinner. The setting was perfect. A beautiful garden, family gathered, and Sarah completely unaware of what was about to happen. She said yes, and we celebrated with everyone inside. John left shortly after the announcement, but I didn't think much of it. He often left family gatherings early. The next morning, Sarah told me she'd be spending the night at a friend's house to share the engagement news. I didn't question it. I trusted her completely. But 2 days later, while I was at work, I received a series of text messages from John. At first, I was confused. He had blocked me years ago. But when I opened the messages, my heart sank. John had sent screenshots of a conversation with Sarah. In the texts, they planned to meet up and sleep together, and they did. The screenshots were followed by photos of Sarah's clothes on his bed. It was a sick and calculated move meant to humiliate me. I immediately left work, drove home, and changed the locks. I packed all of Sarah's belongings into a box, left it outside the door, and ended the relationship via text. I told her I knew what she had done, that she disgusted me, and that we were over. When she came home later that day, she found the box and began banging on the door, begging me to let her in. She cried, pleaded, and tried to explain, but I refused to listen. After half an hour of her shouting outside, she finally left. I sent the screenshots to our family group chat, exposing John's betrayal. The reaction was immediate. Everyone in the family was appalled and cut ties with John. But my mother, true to form, came to his defense. She visited me days later, not to comfort me, but to chastise me for airing the family's dirty laundry. She argued that John was struggling with depression and that his actions were fueled by jealousy of my success. She even suggested that I forgive him and help him mend his relationships with the family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her point blank if she thought it was acceptable for John to sleep with my fiancé simply because his life was falling apart. She hesitated, then said it wasn't right but that I should understand his struggles. Her response enraged me. I told her that if the roles were reversed, she wouldn't be defending me. She denied it, but we both knew the truth. The argument escalated, and she left, declaring she wouldn't speak to me until I made amends with John. The weeks that followed were difficult. Sarah continued texting me, begging for forgiveness, but I ignored her. When she came to pick up the last of her belongings, I stayed silent, refusing to give her the satisfaction of an argument. I blocked her immediately after she left, ensuring there would be no further contact. My relationship with my mother remains fractured. She continues to visit John, who is now completely cut off from the rest of the family. While I wish things could be different, I've accepted that I can't change her priorities. My uncle, who has been my rock through all of this, has encouraged me to focus on myself and let go of the toxic relationships holding me back. It's been a month since the betrayal, and I've started to heal. Sarah and John are no longer part of my life, and I've severed ties with anyone who tries to justify their actions. The rest of my family has stood by me, and for that, I'm grateful. I've realized that I deserve better friends, better relationships, and better boundaries. For the first time in years, I feel free. I no longer have to live in John's shadow or seek approval from a mother who refuses to see my worth. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and looking forward to a brighter future without the people who tried to tear me down.